Today, May the 4th be with you. I wrote this intro yesterday to save time. Did you notice?
Pretty sure that the 5th is usually some sort of Sith joke.
Oh, made the Sith only the 5th deal in absolutes.
I don't know. I mostly ignore Star Wars, which is funny because I do think we have some Star Wars stories, don't we?
Revenge of the 5th. We do.
Yeah, something like that.
Because there was the May the 4th. So there are a couple Star Wars stories.
I used to hang around people who really liked Star Wars. They were really annoying this time of year.
Wow. I take it that wasn't Beach. He's not into
No. Well, I mean, he might be, but I'm talking people who like cosplayed and went to like whatever that convention celebration thing is that they do in the States, and like just in general, very, very annoying about their hobbies. Also, I used to hang out with cosplayers, and they're just kind of interesting.
Intense.
They can be intense.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I feel like you have to be pretty deeply invested in a particular fandom to want to do the cosplay for it. So, you're already, in those upper echelons.
And that's not to say all cosplayers are intense. Some are very nice, lovely people, but...
And it's not necessarily bad
When you're
intense.
in, the age group of 16 to 20 when this is happening and cosplay is a thing, drama is a big thing. And it's just a lot. So,
That's fair. Well, hey everybody. Welcome to ChillPoint on this, the 5th of May. At least that's what day it is here. What day it is where you are, I do not know.
That is the time and day in which we are right now as of recording. So if you're watching this on YouTube later, the date is not our fault.
I'm sorry
it's
about
what
the date.
happened.
There's nothing we can do about it. And welcome to ChillPoint, where we talk about all the video game news of the week. We would also normally be talking about the episode of Checkpoint that went up, but there wasn't any. Because all of our hosts have gone away. They are all in Minneapolis for MagicCon. So if you are in that area, you should go say hi and maybe get some video game news directly from them. Or not.
Yeah, go to the Magic convention and ask for video game news. I'm sure.
I mean,
something will happen.
I feel like they'll be able to dig something up.
Yeah, probably.
You could. I mean, I'm sure Beach has opinions about something that's happened.
Probably everything, really, if you boil down to it. I mean, we can't have ChillPoint next week, can we?
We can't?
No, because it's the 12th, and nobody will watch it.
Oh. And also, both you and Beach won't be here, isn't that?
Well, it depends on when the game shows up in the mail.
Oh, I see. The 12th is...
it's the day that Tears of the Kingdom comes out.
Yeah, Legend of Zelda release day. It's the happiest day on Earth.
Or the most awful if you're not into the mechanics of Breath of the Wild.
It's true.
There are some people who don't like it. That's fine.
Well, I mean, let's start with that, though. That there has been some spicy news about Tears of the Kingdom. And just to quickly point this, not going to have, there's no...
We're not giving spoilers.
No, there's no spoilers here. Although this story does deal with a situation where there could be spoilers, they will not be here. I don't know any spoilers with which to spoil you with.
Any spoilers? We would ask that you not post any spoilers.
And do not
because
post
if I learn your names and you post spoilers, that will not be a happy time for either of us.
So anyway, but the fact of the matter is, apparently, The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, it's been leaked Whether I'm not entirely sure whether it's actually people getting a hold of physical copies early or whether it's like a ROM.
So
that an image that people were emulating.
I was listening to this week's Jimquisition podcast, and Laura had said that there was a person who was streaming it in Discord. And that's kind of what I've heard, is that people were streaming it. However, the person they were referring to...
People tried to stream it on Twitch. It did not last long.
The person they were referring to apparently said that they had uploaded a ROM, and when people went to download it onto their cracked switches, what they got was actually a long video of crudely drawn Ganon singing some sort of Spanish song while Link danced in the background. So, that person trolled people, which I think is kind of neat.
Yeah, but I can appreciate that.
Yeah, I think there's been like physical copies for sale and stuff, but they're going to be overpriced because that's silly.
That's like back in the day of like, downloading stuff off, Napster and LimeWire and things, where it'd be like, this is the real version of this song you want, .exe.
Yep.
Don't download those files.
Yeah, so physical or not, some copies have been leaked.
And it appears to be, there was some kind of legitimate leak. Like, it's not just people messing around. There is actually something out there.
And I mean, this has happened with, I want to say, like every main Nintendo game over the past year, at least.
Oh, really?
About a week or so beforehand, something gets leaked somehow.
I mean, I guess fundamentally, especially if you've got the physical things, like, they have to ship them to the stores before the day of.
Yeah.
So, if the store opens it up and starts looking at it, then there's not much they can do about that.
Yeah, and I the only thing is I doubt they're like review copies that have been going out, because I think review copies tend to be digital these days, and I can't imagine a reviewer would go with that risk.
Yeah, it'd be pretty obvious, and getting blacklisted by Nintendo right when Zelda comes out is probably not a great idea.
It's just, I don't think it's worth the risk. But yeah, beware the internet.
Yeah.
Though you probably have already been bewaring the internet, trying to, depending on how much information you want to have going in. Because I know some people are like, they had the art book leak, so people were ignoring that. There's the gameplay overview they did. Some people didn't want to watch that. Some people did. There was like the final story trailer-esque thing.
I mean,
so some people pick different points on which they don't want to, because they don't need to be sold on it anymore, right?
Right. It's the thing with like movie trailers and stuff, right? Like, there's always the aspect of movie trailers where it's like, if I've decided to see a movie, if you're talking about like, if it's like whatever, Avengers Endgame or something, where you're like, I'm gonna see this movie. Watching the trailer for it is just going to spoil things for me. Like, there's no reason. I don't need to be convinced to watch the to watch the movie. So the trailer is just all downside.
Yeah. I know I've flown too close to the sun. There are definitely a few things that I've learned about Tears of the Kingdom that I think I would have preferred discovering. But, what's the other part? There's another thing with this, isn't there?
So there's a few other things, or there's a couple of other things with this. For one thing, former Nintendo of America boss Reggie Fils-Aimé weighed in for no particular reason. It's not like he works for Nintendo anymore, but he still came in being, I don't know what you want. What I do have, I don't know what you want, but what I do have is a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you.
Now, this is in response to a tweet someone made showing a picture of the Switch screen. Yeah, to show that they
have it on installed on their computer.
And that doesn't necessarily mean they do, because there are ways to make things show up. That doesn't really, but he did that. Reggie did a shit post. Reggie actually does a number of shit posts.
He does. I mean, he's done the Mother 3 thing a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't blame him for that one. I really think, like, because that one was something like every time you ask for it is another time I throw it in the garbage
Yeah,
or something like that. And
Or like, I've been playing Mother 3. It's super great, but I'm never going to release it.
yeah. and I cannot blame him for the Mother 3 one. I bet that is a question he got asked practically every time someone wanted to do an interview.
And I guess, of anybody in the world, I would suspect that Reggie probably does actually have, you know, extensive set of skills that while he worked for Nintendo, he put into action to deal with people leaking things or other legal situations that Nintendo of America got into. I'm sure that he does actually know what the result is going to be of that, and he would know who to talk to.
Sure. I mean, most of his skills are in PR and about product and such. But he likely knows other people who have skills. I mean, it's one of the things a lot of people do is it's good to hone in on your own skills and then make friends who have the other skills.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like we do that within Loading Ready Run. Not everybody has the same skill set, and that's great.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Of course. So yeah.
Also, I'm pretty sure that person he responded to or quote tweeted or whatever, like, deleted their account.
They did. They deleted their account and everything. They're like, oh no.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fine. No one should be on Twitter. Not even me, even though I'm still doing stuff there for some reason. We should all leave.
Yeah.
We won't, but we should. I know you don't understand that, Paul. I know you've been ahead of that curve for so long.
I mean, we still use Twitter for the like going online notifications and stuff. So until something better comes along, we're stuck with that to a certain extent. But anyway,
Tell me of the game news, Paul.
In other recently come out games, I guess this is not actually recently come out, or Zelda isn't recently come out, but it will be coming out soon. Anyway, Redfall just came out.
Yeah, I've heard
the new game from
so many things about that game.
The new game from Arcane Studios, which there was a fair amount of buzz about it coming out. Arcane has done some great stuff. They did the new Prey game, which was super great.
A lot of people like Arcane games, and
yeah.
I haven't played any of them, but from what I've heard of people in talking about this game, generally they're quite fun or good or something, except for this time.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Redfall has not been... I haven't played it myself, but it has... the reviews have not been kind, shall we say.
Yeah.
It's currently at 59 on Metacritic.
I believe the words boring get used quite a bit.
Well, so yeah, there's sort of... There's boring, and the gameplay loop is just not that enticing for people. The feel of the different weapons and the different abilities and stuff is just not there. But then on top of that, there's been quite a few technical issues. For one thing, it's 30 FPS on consoles, which not only people don't like, but also Microsoft was like when the Xbox Series, the new Xbox Series X and S consoles came out, they were like, it's going to be 60 FPS all day, all the time. Which, not so good. And also there's been like, it's supposed to be a squad based or like a team based shooter, looter shooter kind of thing. And the actual like matchmaking and online stuff is not good. blah blah blah. So
Yeah.
and then it's like and then the actual like the story and the gameplay, which I mean the story is sort of the thing that Arcane is known for being quite good at, is apparently just not good either, not very interesting.
Yeah.
I saw somebody being like how did this get like uh if you've played any of Arcane games, and even if you like them, anybody will tell you that their like first person shooter, like actual like gun handling mechanics are not the best.
Yeah. Is this the one with vampires in it, or is this?
Yes.
Yeah. So the things I've heard about this one have been like the most generic video game you can get, plus vampires if involved.
Yeah.
And
Although
yeah,
I mean,
just
like
unhappy.
like even in the run up to this, like it was pretty like, it's like, really, vampires? Are there also going to be zombies? Like, that's what, like, this is it just seems like a very very heavily tread upon area.
Yeah, and a lot of people just expressing a lot of general disappointment because they were expecting a new Arcane game to be not the things that they got.
And I mean, and also, I mean, Xbox in particular, it's been a while since they've had. I mean, they like Hi-Fi Rush was sort of a surprise success a little bit. Like they kind of dropped it, and everyone was like, "Hey, this is actually really good, yay!" But like, Starfall is sort of the next big
Starfall? You mean Starfield?
Starfield. Sorry,
Okay.
Starfield is like the next big Microsoft Xbox exclusive release.
It's been delayed a number of times too,
It has,
right? And
yeah.
so was this one, wasn't it?
This one was also. I mean, every game gets delayed a lot these days, but this one has also been delayed somewhat. So
I feel like though when a game gets delayed a few times, if it comes out and it's really good, you can get some forgiveness for that, in the sense of like people are like, but it was really good and it was worth the wait. And when a game's been delayed several times and it comes out and it's disappointing, it's just kind of like another reason as to why to be disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, these days I don't even think that, like, I don't think people really hold it against the game that gets delayed, unless it's like, they continually hype it for like 5 years, then it gets, unless you're Beyond Good and Evil or something, where it gets totally
that's never coming
where
out.
it gets totally ridiculous. But in general, like, I don't think people. I think we're at the point now where people don't really have that much animosity against games being delayed, depending on how it's presented. But yeah. So it hasn't been doing. So there's an interview with Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox, running damage control on this basically, and saying the critical response to Redfall was significantly lower than they were hoping for and expecting. And what I thought was interesting about this, and I don't think this is like a news, except that I didn't really think about it, but he's saying we do mock reviews for every game that we launch, and this is double digits lower than we thought it would be with this game. That is a disappointing thing. We never strived to launch a game we thought would be reviewing in the low 60s. That's not part of our goals. Redfall was significantly lower than our internal metrics in terms of where it actually reviewed. And that's not on anybody but us. We have to own that. So they're like, we thought it was pretty fun. Like they had internal, they have sort of internal reviewing teams.
If we're going with double digits, and you said 59, we're going with at least 69. Right.
Yeah, they thought it would at least be like a 70s.
Probably higher, but probably somewhere in the 70s maybe kind of game.
But I'm fascinated.
Whatever numbers mean to you, but
like now I'm super curious as to what that involves. Like, in like political, when you're running a political campaign, they'll bring in like a mock debater person, like a person who isn't part of the, who isn't necessarily part of the campaign, so that they have a more sort of objective. They can actually be sort of as mean or have the be as close to their opponent as possible. I wonder what the team that's doing like mock reviews at Microsoft, like, because obviously,
I mean, I would hope they would not be part of the team in making the game.
right? Because obviously, you can't have the team like it was just like, yeah, we think it's pretty good. All right, cool, 10 out of 10. But like, yeah, do you actually like bring in a completely separate group to
Well,
play
how
and
many
review
people
the
do
game?
you get to review the game?
Mm.
Because like that's the thing about reviews. Like we talk about score there, but score is kind of a number thing we make up. But when you read like a review, there's a portion of review that's going to be essentially personal opinion, where if you know that person likes those types of games in the first place, that's going to be helpful to know.
Right.
Or if that person doesn't like those types of games but still had a lot of fun, like knowing about those factors can really help you figure out what reviewers you should be following to see what games that actually work for you, right? So do you just like do you have a bunch of people who are like, oh yes, no, this game was very good, we promise, it was great, our jobs aren't on the line at all?
Exactly.
Or
yeah.
do you have people who are like, I'd normally hate video games, but I thought this was okay? Like,
Because obviously it's that weird thing of like, you got the advice or the information that you get from your mock review is useless if it isn't accurate.
well, it's
But
also,
in order to get accurate, but people who work for the company, saying, it's always the feedback thing where it's like, yeah, if they're too negative, then they'll feel like they'll get in trouble. But
maybe, I mean, it depends on how they do them. I've never heard of the idea of doing mock reviews within your own company. I've heard of the idea of like grabbing people to play your game and see what they think.
Yeah,
which
just
I
like
guess is
play
very
testing
similar.
and QA and stuff.
But I would assume that there's like a review is only good if you can articulate why you liked a thing or why you didn't like a thing. Because if I just tell you, oh no, this is pretty fun, I've told you nothing.
Right.
If I can tell you why I thought it was fun or what parts of it made it not fun for me, then there's information there that you can actually work with.
Yeah.
And I would assume they'd have more than just somebody being like, yeah, no, that was pretty good, and they walk away. If you're going to actually call it something like a mock review.
And the interesting part about that is, he says there are quality issues and we're working on those, and they've committed to, they'll be bringing out an update to push it up to 60 frames per second and a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's saying there are quality issues and we're working on those, but I think there's also a fundamental piece of feedback we got that the game isn't realizing the creative vision that it had for its players. And I don't feel like, hey, just delay it, is going to help that situation. It feels like the game had a goal to do one thing, and then when players are actually playing it, they're not feeling that thing, the creative execution of the team. And which is an interesting, I think that's actually an interesting piece of feedback, or an interesting point, where it's like, people are like, why didn't you push it back if, it had these technical things? And it's true that like not being at 60 FPS and a bunch of other stuff was definitely an issue.
Yeah.
But then he's also saying that it's like, apparently it's just like not fun. And like, no matter how much you push it back, if you're like, maybe, I guess, maybe we were coming at it the wrong way from the beginning.
I mean, yeah, in the technical sense, delaying, those are things you can see and you can fix because they're objective, right? But in terms of how does an audience react to a thing that you've created, is never real. It's a thing you can kind of try to predict.
Yeah,
it's a thing you can even kind of try to manipulate in terms of like trying to hype people up and whatnot for an experience.
How it's presented.
But you can't really fully know until the thing comes out.
And if you like, you can imagine that like if they're doing these mock reviews and it comes back being like, I've noticed some technical things. Also, the game isn't fun. Like, if you're Arcane, there's not much you could do with that. It's like, we're 3 years into this thing. We can't. It's like, It is what it is.
I don't know. Maybe the people who reviewed it really liked it. I'm gonna say that even though a popular opinion or an overarching opinion of this game is that it's boring and not interesting and disappointing, there are gonna be potentially one or two people out there who really like it.
Yeah, and I mean, you get that with games a lot.
Like
that
when you take out the technical aspects.
Somebody is just like, finally, I get to
Finally, they did the thing I wanted. Yeah.
I get to fight vampires in a squad, and it isn't one of the other 5 games where you fight vampires.
Yeah.
But this is exactly what I wanted.
And it's totally fine that they all hang out by windows and won't attack me. I listened to all of my podcasts update on Thursday, and I caught up, so I've been listening to all of them today.
But yeah, and I mean, maybe there was a certain amount of cutting your losses and just being like, I don't know what to do with this thing. Let's just put it out there and move on to the next. But yeah, you know, when you're like 3 years into a thing, you're like, I think we didn't do this right.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
you hear that, you know, you hear things about like, you know, especially like back in the day, you hear from like Blizzard and certain other companies that will, you know, get a long way into development of a game and then just cancel it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because they're in a position where they can do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's all so there's a portion of stuff that happens that is definitely business decision based. It's the game has to go out now because maybe there were contracts that we signed, or we're just basically out of money for this project and it has to go out now in order for us to even continue to update it, or it's fine, send it out, make some cash, move on, kind of thing. And then there are other decisions that are a little bit more creative based. It's
Right.
like, well, we've done what we can. We have to see what people think of it.
So anyway, here's some news that isn't technically strictly video game related, but it does impact a lot of video game related stuff. Discord. Not the concept of
Chaos. Not the My Little Pony character.
and not the My Little Pony character, but the piece of software that works pretty well most of the time in certain ways.
It works enough and is also destroyed forums, but okay.
It's
like a lot of tech.
Yeah.
Is good at some things, has broken some other things, and it's here, and we all deal with it on a daily basis.
Anyway, you know, Discord, it's had a lot of sort of growing pains in various ways, especially in the sense where it sort of started as one thing and then changed to other things. And, you know, they've sort of bolted on different bits and changed things around and moved things. But for its entire existence, they've had a system for doing usernames where, and this is something that some other companies do as well, basically to avoid having to deal with uniqueness for usernames. Your Discord name automatic has like a 4-number code at the end of it.
Yeah.
So, you know, mine is like Paul LRR and then a number. I don't know I forget what that number is.
Yeah, most people don't know the number off the top of their heads.
Yeah, and Discord doesn't really it's not that they hide that, but like normally when you're just chatting with people, you don't see that number, but it's there, and it's not that hard to get. Like, you can go and look in your profile.
Yeah,
it'll tell
it's
you what
not
your number is, and you need that number in order to, like, if you want to like add somebody as a friend.
Yeah, it's not a hard thing.
No,
it's just 4 numbers.
and
Let's face it, we all lived through Nintendo DS friend codes, and those were way harder. So.
And this makes it so that, and it makes it so that they don't have to worry about uniqueness. You don't have to be bloody blah. You don't have to put your own series of numbers or be like the real Paul or, you know, all that kind of crap.
Mm-hmm.
But they've decided to change that.
And some people are mad. Some people don't care.
So they've decided to put in a change to make it so that they're going to migrate to suffixed usernames. So everyone will have to have a unique username. And because of how Discord servers, it's not like you have to be unique on your server. You have to be unique
throughout the whole thing.
Throughout the whole everything. This
is not quite this. You can still have the display name.
You can have a display name that's different.
That's
from
different
your
from your username.
Yeah,
is what they're going for. So you can still be Steve.
Whatever. Yeah.
If you didn't get Steve.
And so one of the issues. So when I first saw this, I was like, "Oh, that's kind of a cool idea." I guess some people might like that. That was before I realized that it's actually going to be a mandatory migration.
Yeah, it's mandatory, which is partially why people
over the next little while
are angry because being mandatorily told you have to do a thing is
nobody likes changing their
nobody
usernames.
really likes that.
Yeah.
My understanding is I think they're doing it in waves.
Yeah.
And so if you've been a user since like the beginning, you'll be in like the first wave because they're going with people who've been on the service the longest.
Yeah.
Get the first choice of username. So that'll be fun. Some people are worried that there will be people who camp names for people who are like famous streamers and stuff. Don't know if it'll happen. I mean, I can't say it wouldn't happen.
Like, can you still have numbers in your name?
In your username? I don't know why you wouldn't be able to.
So could you just make your new username the same as what you've had? Just put the numbers in yourself?
I don't see why not.
Anyway, it's just kind of odd. And yes,
they specifically argue that they're doing it because if you try to tell a person your username without
the number,
without the we're just talking in meet space and we're like, oh, you should definitely add me on Discord, that we'll have a hard time and not be able to give the right username, and people constantly are friending the wrong people on their service, to which the counter argument I've seen is like, yes, you're right, I can't definitely pull out my phone and look it up and send you a friend request like we would do now instantaneously to make sure that we're friends.
And I mean, maybe they get more, support emails about that than you expect.
If you friend the wrong person, you're just going to defriend them after. I don't even know who you'd have to send a support email to that for.
I've seen arguments about like, for one thing, people camping usernames, or people already, apparently there's people sort of harassing and threatening people who have good usernames, short usernames or whatever.
Right. Oh, I forgot that's what happened with Twitter.
And then you also get, there's also the aspect of like, before it was actually, the username, it was a little more difficult to, if you wanted to find somebody, sometimes being a little more difficult to find somebody is like a feature, not a bug. It's like, it's actually, I don't want it to be super easy for everyone to add me as friends.
Like, I know all services go through some sort of growing pains. I just don't understand why they all go through the same ones when we've all seen the other ones do it. I don't see the need for Discord to do this. I think there are several other things Discord could probably work on and do. This seems like a choice.
Yeah, it seems an unnecessary.
It doesn't seem like a necessary choice.
Like, I could see even, making it so like new users are like that, and then they just migrate the old ones over. But anyway, maybe it's difficult. I like that somebody on Twitter was like, the Discord username change is like if your phone company was like, hey, we're gonna make things way easier and have your phone number just be your name. So, isn't that convenient? Anyway,
Yeah.
So,
So that's a thing that's happening. Look forward to
that-
it. You can
yeah.
join our Discord at discord.gg/LRR
yeah,
if you want.
that's going to be happening. So if you see that, get a message from our Discord saying that you have to change your username. That's not us saying that.
I'm assuming Discord will sign it themselves, but you know,
Yeah,
I'm just using this as an opportunity to plug a thing we use.
yeah.
And I know
should-
forums aren't technically dead. I hang out on some. It's a little annoying to watch people be like, all these tech forums are now Discords, and I can't find anything.
I know, it's annoying. Hey, here's a story about Call of Duty that isn't about who's gonna own Call of Duty for the next 10 years.
Oh, wow. Rare.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
All
What's
right.
this great story about Call of Duty, Paul?
So Call of Duty has, they like all these games. They do all sorts of DLC characters, cool skins for your characters and different outfits and different looks and different things.
I thought that was Fortnite, but sure.
No.
All
I
games,
mean,
all games are like this.
Fortnite is more extreme. You can't play like Superman in Call of Duty, but
Well, that's too bad.
there are all the different, was it operators they're called? But anyway, and they have, various famous people. We did a story a while ago that like Snoop Dogg got added in.
Oh, yeah. I
And he
remember
had like
that.
a bunch of weed-based
Yeah.
weaponry. But anyway, Kevin Durant, 13-time NBA All-Star and 2-time NBA Finals MVP, is going to be the next celebrity skin coming to Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Call of Duty Warzone 2, and Call of Duty Mobile.
Okay.
And the interesting thing about this
Times got hard in the NBA.
is that, well, as an NBA player, he's really tall. He's 6'10".
Yeah, okay.
And so basically, people are wondering whether he's going to be the correct size in the game, in which case it would be kind of a, Baron Samedi in GoldenEye 64 situation where he's just like a head taller than everybody else and easy to shoot. Or if they're going to shrink him for the purposes of the game.
What size would they shrink him to?
I think 6 foot is the size that everybody else is
Okay, so
in the game.
suddenly
Or
lose
do
10
they have
inches.
him the size that he is in real life, but his hitbox is 6 foot?
Oh, I mean, I guess that's also a solution. When you shrink someone in a video game, I feel like there's several ways you can do it. Especially if we're going with like 10 inches, we could just do the thing where it's like you try to take out and make kind of just a normal looking human being of that size. But also you could just take out, say, the shin area.
Yeah. Just attach his
Most
knees
people aren't
directly-
gonna.
yeah.
Most people aren't gonna see the feet anyway, right? So just take it off at the knees.
Yeah, he has to like bonk his head on door frames and stuff. And if they shrink, do they shrink him proportionally down?
Well, I mean, if you're doing it probably the normal way. If you're doing it my way, I don't think so. I think you're just taking out that length.
I wonder if it's torso length or leg length that he's, depending on how.
I mean, I suppose we could just take out the torso.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, lots of people have short torsos. The video game characters, he's not going to need all those organs.
Anyway.
Got to keep the head because, like, that's the part that really signifies who this person is.
Right.
So
yeah.
we can't take that out. I'm assuming you got to keep the hands in case there's like jewelry you want to put on the hands. But like there's all this space in between where many things can get taken out and I don't think it'll matter.
Yeah. They can just They can just put whatever they want in there. Nobody will notice.
Yeah, no one will notice at all.
Just put somebody else's body in there.
Or perpetual crouching. He can never fully stand up.
Ooh, I like that. He just like duck walks everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like
it's like somebody had a sign up outside the video game like you can't be taller than this, and so everybody was like, all right, look how I'm not tall.
It's like, yeah, for fairness reasons, he will just be crouch walking everywhere.
Yeah, that could be fun.
That would be great. I like that.
Solve the world for tall people. Duck walk.
In other sports and video games news, Metalhead's Super Mega Baseball, which, as you might have gathered from the title, is a more kind of arcadey style baseball game rather than a simulate like an MLB whatever 2K. What's it?
So they don't care if people look proportionally right.
No, I think in fact everybody is like super deformed.
We
style.
could definitely shrink everyone in that one.
So Super Mega Baseball 4 so previously being as it's Super Mega Baseball, they didn't actually have like real teams and players in it. It was just like
they just made up
they
some
just made
stuff.
up a bunch of people.
Yeah, all right.
They didn't actually have the MLB license.
You don't have to.
Really,
you don't have to pay licensing.
They didn't really care. Yeah,
there's all kinds of things, and then you can make up fun things. So many things about like names and, and weird teams and
they're not like tied to the
puns.
actual capabilities of a particular player.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Metalhead, the company that makes Super Mega Baseball, was acquired by Electronic Arts 2 years ago, and Electronic Arts actually makes the MLB games.
Yeah. So did Electronic Arts stop them from making games?
No, but Electronic Arts has the MLB license. So they're like, hey, we could actually put in some real players now. So what I like about this is that they haven't put any teams in. There's no real teams in the game, but they did put in a bunch of real MLB players from the entire history of like not any, like just from the history of baseball. They chose past and present baseball players that they say fits Super Mega style, in the sense that they got like the more, I guess, iconic or interesting.
I was gonna say the people who already look shrunk and misformed.
We went and got all the biggest headed baseball players.
They already fit aesthetic. It's perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, you're probably, it's probably more like what you've said.
Yeah. This is not a cartoony thing. This was just a photograph of these two baseball players. This is what they looked like. So yeah, they wanted to get a bunch of people, a bunch of the players who were particularly sort of iconic and larger than life.
Mm-hmm. They also, my understanding was, went for players who filled a variety of different positions.
Right.
So it's not like Smash where we only get sword users for the rest of our days.
Yeah. I don't know if any of these baseball players are sword users. We'll
the ones who go to bat are. That's as close as you get.
Yeah.
Because the baseball bat. But,
So what do we got here? So they talk Bartolo Colon, aka Big Sexy, was apparently his nickname.
Okay.
They say, is there someone more super mega than him?
I don't know baseball, so
that's a rhetorical question.
Yeah.
He was a four-time All-Star, 2005 American League Young Award winner, or Cy Young Award winner. He's 21 careers almost spent entirely in the American League. Blah, blah. So anyway, I like this idea where they're that they're getting players, not just like popular players, but they only want the players that are like the wackiest players, or the players that are like the most kind of larger than life.
I mean, it's a definition, right? It's a thing of like, this is what we want our branding to look like.
Yeah.
This makes sense. It's a way to do it. I hope it works out for them. I don't baseball games, so I ultimately am not going to care personally, but it sounds like a fun, goofy thing. So I hope it like isn't one of those things where, hey, the game we've always had made up people in, we're putting real people in. Don't get upset because we changed.
I like the in sports games. I mean, I haven't, obviously I haven't played this, but I do also certainly lean towards the arcade. It's the old thing of everyone likes NBA Jam. Even people who don't really like sports games like NBA Jam because it's just like a fun thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure there's baseball equivalents that are kind of like that. Maybe this is one of them. But anyway. Actually, wait. In other sports news.
We have more sports. We're going to knock it out of the park with more sports.
Other electronic arts sports news. Motorsports. F1 23. F1 space 23. As in
so
F1
it's
game.
not like F123.
No, it is F123. They should really have like leaned into that, because this is the only year they can do that. This is the 2023 F1 game.
They're just gonna look silly when they do F124.
Yeah, they just won't look like they won't know how to count. That sounds like one of those like, I'm so fast, I go 1, 2, 4. That's how fast I am off the starting line. Anyway, so F1 23 is the new F1 racing game. It's coming out by Codemasters.
Okay.
And now one of the things that's interesting about this is they've been trying to do a sort of career narrative mode. A lot of these sports games have started doing these like narrative mode
story
things,
driven thing.
Yeah. So there's going to be
not just a car driven thing.
Yeah. Multiple ways of driving. There's and for this one, there's going to be apparently there's going to be like live action cutscenes that they're going to put in.
Oh, okay.
Which is interesting.
Sure.
But what I like about this is my favorite line about this is in a preview for the game, director Lee Mather was delighted that fans really gelled with the top. Or sorry, okay, so you're going to be playing. You're playing a fictitious team called Connor Sports Racing Team. Connor spelled with a K. And the top driver is Devon Butler. And the creative director says he's delighted that fans really gelled with Devon, despite Codemasters deliberately casting somebody who's got a face you want to punch. They deliberately cast the most punchable face they could find.
Is this the hero?
Apparently, yeah.
Oh, punchable face hero.
Anyway, so bold move, but anyway,
does he get punched?
I don't know. Yeah, it seems like he's
it's
gonna.
kind of one of those things where when you see a face that you're like, punchable, you kind of like, and I'm talking media wise, more than that, but like in a TV show, and you're like, man, that person has a punchable face. There's kind of some satisfaction when they do get punched.
Yeah. So, anyway, I don't know if the F1 games is one of the ones that Ian is into. Whether
I don't know. I know he does the racing games, but I don't really.
He's more into the.
They all kind of seem the same to me, except for GTA. But
I don't know if that's technically a racing game.
There's racing happening in it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's more. He does like Assetto Corsa.
Yeah, he doesn't play Mario Kart, so.
Yeah, Mario Kart is usually
shells.
the closest to racing games that I get. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. GTA is not GT. That is correct.
It could be.
But what if it was? It's not. But what if?
Hey, I have some Tears of the Kingdom Zelda news.
I don't know how to process that sentence, Paul. There's what now? Not Tears of the King. Are they making? No, they're not. They're not going to make another game at the same time. What's happening, Paul?
So, do you want to play Zelda's Adventure?
That's one of the CDI ones, isn't it?
Not the Adventure of Link. Not Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. Zelda's Adventure. Generally considered to be the worst of the 3 CDI Zelda games.
There were 3. I thought there were 2.
Has been remade.
Well,
for Game Boy.
Okay.
So anyway, indie developer John Lay has remade similar it in the style of like Link's Awakening.
And I thought there was another game where they grabbed some assets from 2.
Probably like Oracle of Ages and Seasons and stuff.
Yeah,
too.
something like that.
Here, let me.
Yeah, I did actually watch this video. I just completely put it out of my brain.
It's so bad. Oh, sorry, my screen cap cuts this off a little bit.
Like, what they show here is really neat. Like, because I do like the way the Game Boy one looks.
I love that
better than what's going on with the other one.
I love that they show how slow the CDI thing is to load. Like, they're trying to figure out like how to get this thing from the chest that it's like already finished on the Game Boy side.
The only thing I haven't seen, like, because the thing that everyone talks about with the CDI is the cutscenes.
Like, look, they're like already on the halfway through the next screen by the time that the CDI one has actually loaded.
But they're not showing us what any of the animated cutscenes look like.
No.
And I really am curious about like if you can improve that. Because yeah, I mean immediately it looks better. Doesn't necessarily make it better, but
the game. Presumably the Game Boy isn't going to have the amazing fully voiced cutscenes.
I mean, that's fine. I just want to see how they do them.
That might be
because I believe they're in more of a first person kind of perspective, or at least a 2-second. But there's like animated characters going on and stuff. So like you could change that to more of a visual novel style easily, but which might make it more bearable because some of those animations were really scary.
So this is so it's available for free.
Oh, they didn't put them in the other one?
It is available. You can actually play it in your browser, or you can download the ROM of it.
Okay.
So browser-based Game Boy emulators are actually pretty good at this point. So you can actually you can download a ROM of it, or you can just play it in your browser, which is pretty cool. Here's a Switch game that has a really long and silly name.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a Switch game with a visual or a light novel name.
A light novel name?
Maybe it's an
So it's
adaptation
like
of a light novel.
3 sentences long?
So it's a game called Mon U, upcoming game for Switch.
What's its full title, Paul?
Its actual full title is Mon U, defeat monsters and gain strong weapons and armor, period. You may defend, but don't give up, period. Become stronger, period. I believe there will be a day when the heroes defeat the Devil King.
Did they... I mean, I know
Period.
light novels do that, but I kind of feel like someone just wrote the description of the game in the title section when they were
just
setting
put it in
up
the
their
wrong
pitch.
field. Yeah. It's like, hey, my title section doesn't have my description section doesn't have enough lines. It's only a one little field. I had to. It was tough to fit in the whole description there. Wait, what?
I mean, there are many games where you see the title of and you're just like, so what's this game about? And this game is just going to tell you up front. So I guess it's got that going for it.
Yeah, you can see the elegant typography that it is.
God, no, it's worse when it's written out like that.
I love that they actually put the effort into
It looks like someone
defeat the monsters in the armor, and
no.
you may be. They're like they're almost doing like a kinetic typography thing, but it's not moving.
What? No. Like, I don't know what other way you do that, but no. I mean, probably do it the same way, to be honest. But yeah,
that it like messes up, like Electronics Boutique's database for for games, or actually, wait a minute. Is it in the drop-down menu in Twitch?
Well, that'll depend on.
Oh, it's just called Mon U.
Yeah, I think Twitch, a lot of places grab all their stuff from like Giant Bomb's database, and that's all like user done.
Oh.
So that just
All
means
right.
that
Well, somebody
needs to fix that.
Because it'll totally mess up the like drop-down menu on Twitch. It'll like force it to be wider than it's supposed to be.
I think they just start going.
Or do they just start
I just think
under multiple lines?
Doing multiple lines because
other games would probably.
Cadence of Hyrule's full title is like Cadence of Hyrule featuring The Legend of Zelda. And then there's like another sentence or something.
Oh, I see. Right.
Yeah,
they're not using the. If they were using the actual like HTML element, but.
Yeah. I know because when we did that game, Ian insisted that we write out the whole title with the little skulls and the little wind pieces each time.
Nice. Hey, Star Wars. Remember back in the beginning of this
where I talked about not liking Star Wars?
We talked about Star Wars? So
I mean, Grogu's okay, but the rest of it's kind
of. Guess what game is getting a bunch of Star Wars characters? It's not Call of Duty.
It's Fortnite.
Yeah, it's the other one. I mean, they would be pretty cool to be honest. Like having like the Mandalorian in Call of Duty would be pretty cool.
All right, so Fortnite. That means I get to play the Death Star, right? That's my skin, Death Star.
No,
there's a big orb floating around while everybody else has guns. And I'm like,
planet-sized orb. Yeah. No, that's disappointing.
See, I can make everything worse by telling you what I really want, and then everything else is just not as good in comparison.
No, you can play. You can get things as Anakin, Padme, Darth Maul, various clone troopers, which are just basically like color swapped different people. some random Coruscant guard. And there's also, so because Fortnite is a game that I don't quite understand sometimes.
Okay.
In the sense that it's one of those games where like I think I know, I have this image in my mind of what I think the game is, and then I keep seeing stories about it where it's like that doesn't make sense. It's not it's like it's supposed to be a battle royale game.
I'm assuming everybody gets lightsabers.
Why is this in here? Yeah, so
that it kind of I mean, Star Wars should do more stories that don't revolve around everyone having cool lightsabers, but it's Fortnite, so everyone's gonna have a lightsaber, I'm sure.
So yeah, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, and Darth Maul await you on the island in hologram form during the Find the Force event. If you accept their offer to train you, you'll jump into a rift and then return wielding a lightsaber and new Force abilities. These Force abilities can be used while wielding your lightsaber, which remains in your inventory until you drop it, get eliminated, or the match ends. If you have the Force item in your inventory, you'll be able to sprint faster, double jump with your lightsaber equipped, regardless of your trainer. If you accept Obi-Wan's training, you can use the Force to push objects and players away. If you use Anakin's training, you can use the Force to pull objects towards you. And if you have Darth Maul's training, you can use the Force to lift things and hurl them at people. So it's like Obi-Wan is push, Anakin is pull, and Darth Maul is up.
Nobody chose down.
Apparently not. Which I don't know why you only get like one cardinal direction per training, per master.
Obi-Wan and Anakin had a very push-pull relationship. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then they just didn't know what to do with Maul.
Obi-Wan, why must you always push everyone away? I don't know any other way. You get the green lightsaber if you train with Obi-Wan. You get a blue one if you train with Anakin, and you get a red one if you train with Darth Maul.
Because can you train with all three?
I don't think so.
Oh,
I think you got to choose. Yeah. Jeez. Well, I mean, like, it's per.
I mean, I don't see why I can't choose to be on the right side of the Force and then go to the dark side. That seems how like everyone works.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, I thought they destroyed both of these concepts in the last movie or something.
I don't know.
I'm not totally sure. I watched it. Something happened.
Then there's a bunch of other questy stuff. If you complete 12 quests in a set, you earn a Sith holocron. And unlock 3 of these, and you'll receive the Sith Infiltrator Glider, which is this. Which, I guess.
I mean,
I didn't think there were ships that you could fly around in
gliders.
In Fortnite.
Because Fortnite still kicks you out of a bus, right? So
is that your thing that you like come in on?
Wouldn't this be like the parachute?
Yeah, I guess that's probably what you come in on. Yeah. Oh yeah, I see. You hold on to the little things there. It's like your hang glider. I see. Okay, that makes sense. It does kind of look like a bad Nick from Sonic.
Because I assume even if you're running around as like Superman or Darth Vader or whoever in these games, they still kick you out of the bus.
Probably
from the top.
Yeah,
because I don't think they've ever gotten rid of that.
And there's also Star Wars gun, which is, I mean,
okay,
sure,
it's a gun in Star Wars colors. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, yeah. Of course, guns do exist in the Star Wars universe.
Maybe if you stick some lightsaber stickers on it, it'll be more valuable.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, yeah, of course there are guns, but like every universe is guns. That's not impressive. Nobody wants the guns from the Star Wars universe. Anyway.
Well, because the guns are like blasters and stuff. They're space guns, right? They're meant to be like more of that sci-fi.
They go like pew pew pew.
Yeah.
and you can stop the laser in midair with the force somehow.
Oh, you can do a lot of things with the Force.
Yeah.
You can double jump. I mean, come on, Paul. If you could double jump in real life,
It's true.
yeah. I mean, the sprint faster is nice, but I feel like if I just work on that on my own, I could do that on my own. But double jumping,
I love that double jumping has been so normalized in video games that like you can just do it. Like, and for a while they always had like there was like a magical effect or something that allowed you to double jump. You would like jump and then there would be like a flash or like a magical platform would appear under you so you could jump, or you get wings to double jump or something.
yeah.
But now I've been playing Hi-Fi Rush. It is a great game. You can double jump.
It's good.
There's no explanation as to why.
No, but
just
you
can.
need it with that platforming.
Oh, you need it. You need it.
You really need it.
And now
Dash is also your friend when it comes to that platforming.
Yeah, almost every jump is like jump, jump, dash.
Yeah.
Even if you don't need it, just to keep
just,
it
just to be safe. Like, you know, there's that whole level with lava in it, and it's just you wanna make sure you're okay.
Yeah, jumping in real life is like the most disappointing thing in comparison to video games. Like video game people routinely jump, twice their own body height.
Yeah.
Whereas in real life, you can jump like.
Maybe, yeah, depending on.
Yeah, you just can't jump very high. And if you're like somebody doing like a high jump, it's not like you can jump up to something. It's like you're getting like over a thing. It's
I mean, high jump is about like running. Like you give yourself that running start, and then when you do that jump, you're not really. It's not like you're doing a standard jump up and down kind of jump. You're trying to use that momentum to kind of flip your body halfway over.
Yeah.
Right, like. Any jump where you need to have like a mat that you're going to fall on is kind of still.
Also, pulling yourself up onto ledges is way more difficult. I mean, people can do that. That is possible to do. It's very, very hard, though.
I skip out on arm day all the time, so it's not going to be a fun time.
I'm not saying I can do it, but
yeah.
but like just especially if it's not like a bar, but it's actually just like a ledge.
Yeah. I mean, you play a video game where you can't jump.
It's so weird.
Kind of weird.
Yeah. It feels wrong. It's like,
not,
why can't I jump?
And even if you understand the design decision, it's just kind of like, why? I'd like to.
Well, because the difference, it's like in the real world, instead of jumping, we have like you can like scramble over stuff, and we have other ways of getting up things. Whereas in video games, it's like if you can't jump, you're just sort of like, well,
you literally can't.
There's
if there's the tiniest barrier,
you're like, well, there's nothing I can do.
It's like you can't even do that. Like, okay, I'm just gonna step up a little bit. Like,
yeah. Oh no, a curb. Yeah.
Look, Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope felt weird because you couldn't jump.
I know. Yeah.
Just
or the like. I mean, that's the like the Link thing, right? Where you, like from the original like Link to the Past, like you could only jump down.
Oh
off
right,
things.
yeah. I mean, Ocarina of Time had like you couldn't jump, but you could if you went off of edges. There was like an auto jump thing that was kind of neat. I would love it if I could jump in Toad's Treasure Tracker.
Yeah, Mario games where you can't jump are confusing and strange.
Yeah.
Anyway, the last story have something. It's a little more serious. We probably should have maybe not had this as the last
Maybe
story.
we should have started with this.
But this is so we've just passed
It's been
World Press Freedom Day. Happened 2 days ago, I believe. And in honor or for World Press Freedom Day, a Finnish newspaper called Helsingin Sanomat, which is probably not how that is pronounced.
I think the internet can forgive you.
They've been they commissioned a Counter-Strike Go map that looks like a comparatively normal Counter-Strike Go or CS:GO map. It's sort of a big kind of abandoned city, which is, a lot of how these maps go. Because you can play, there's like the standard maps, and then you can play custom maps.
Yeah. So
And so they made and released this Counter-Strike Go map that looks like a regular map, except there's a secret area in it that you can get to. You can only get to after you die in the game, because after you die in the game, you can just like fly around.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah, okay.
And go to this area, and there's a bunch of information about the war in Ukraine.
In Russian.
In Russian, because Counter-Strike happens to be one of the games that is not boycotting or not having, they haven't pulled their servers or anything. Like Valve actually still maintaining their servers in Russia, and it's extremely popular in Russia. Something like 4 or 5 million people are playing it.
Yeah.
Playing in Russia, so it's extremely popular in Russia, and so they've and this particular this Finnish newspaper, they've been blocked by the sort of Russian internet. They haven't been able, their site has been blocked within Russia since the
a lot of places have been.
Yeah.
Anything that will tell them about what's happening in the Ukraine is basically been blocked off.
And so this is their way of kind of sneaking it in under the cover of Counter-Strike, which is kind of a brilliant idea. There's a really here. Let me.
Hopefully, they've blocked off enough news sites that people who would try to take this down won't see it.
Yeah, ironically, all the sites talking about this are probably blocked in Russia, so the Russian authorities won't necessarily know about it. Anyway, here's the link to the actual article in this Finnish newspaper, because it's a really in-depth article. They talk a lot about the actual reporting that they've been doing and stuff, as well as this particular thing. So it's really, really interesting stuff, and a neat way. It's one of those things where, like, who knows? Who knows if it is effective, or whether it will be immediately blocked, or whether they can people. But if nothing else, it is sort of a thing that gets people talking about it, like we are right now. So I think it's a neat idea, and it's a cool way of doing that. So yay for that, and cool for doing that. There was another. Sorry, I thought there was another story that caught my eye, but I didn't actually write it down. Anyway.
Well, there's always next week.
Wait, sorry. Oh, nice. Sorry. I just saw this just now. Hogwarts Legacy is putting in a arachnophobia mode.
That's cool. No one should play that game.
There's another reason why you might not want to play it is there's big spiders in it. And it changes the appearance of spiders and reduces and removes skitters and screeches. So that's good. Thanks. And static spider corpses become invisible. They don't get taken away. They're just invisible. They're there. You know that they're there. Anyway.
So you've been playing Hi-Fi Rush, huh?
I have. It's great. It's so much fun. I'm glad it's not I'm glad it's not an actual, I wouldn't call it like a rhythm game, in the sense that, you can play it if you don't have that much rhythm. Which
I think that's great though, because
but
I've seen some people complain about that because it's supposed to be a rhythm game, so they'd prefer it to be more, I guess, punishing
it is a
or something. But
it's like a rhythm enhanced like beat 'em up game.
I know that people will see rhythm and be not interested in playing the game because rhythm is very much a reflex action time, and that can be really hard on some people. So I'm kind of glad that it doesn't. It mostly feels like it just rewards you for doing better with rhythm.
Yeah,
rather
I mean,
than
there's some like some boss fights and stuff you kind of need to do it
Yeah.
properly. But I think there's modes that are like you can set it to like a pretty forgiving mode too. I think I'm just playing on like normal or something, but it's super it's super silly. I love the style of it and good music and stuff. I'm playing.
Oh right, you're not streaming, so you're probably playing with the
Yeah,
original soundtrack.
which is good. I mean, I'm not that knowledgeable in terms of music, so like I haven't noticed anything particularly. Like the little track listings come up, and a lot of the tracks already say like by the Hi-Fi Rush team.
Yeah.
So there, but yeah, I think there have been a couple tracks that are sort of licensed tracks and stuff, but.
Yeah, we've been when we were streaming it on Rhythm Cafe, we were playing it with the streamer safe mode on, so all of the tracks are safe to stream with.
Which,
and
I mean, that's very
it's been a game that I want to go play. I want to go play again with
the other music.
With the other music, just to see what the differences are.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of situations where, although, like in some ways, I don't know if I would, like, if there was like a song that I really liked. I don't know if I would necessarily, because you're constantly like interrupting the song with like pew pow chi pow cha cha yeah, like all these like little noises that have to come out for you whenever you hit things at the right.
I love how cartoony everything is. Like things explode and it says boom.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
It's important that it says that the explosion says boom on it, so you know.
Yes.
Yeah. It is doing that thing. There is that thing where there's like a bunch of stuff that I can't open that is presumably like end game content or like post game content.
Oh yeah, that stuff all opens after you defeat the game once. You'll get like a level select, and a couple other fun things that you'll then be able to replay levels and go open those things. My understanding is those areas are mostly like just challenge fights.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like if you're not into that, then I wouldn't worry about it. But
yeah, did you end up playing any of that?
We tried to go find one after we finished the game, but we were unsuccessful in looking for it in the amount of time that we had. But that's just what I've heard. It's likely a thing I'll probably check out on my own playthrough because I like to see what those things are about, whether or not I do them. Well, we'll see.
I always have the problem with games where they have that kind of content where it's like, especially when it's like post game content where it's like, because they can't, at that point they can't reward you.
Oh right, the whole like if you already have the most power, like if you get the most powerful sword later, but you've already defeated the boss, then what?
Yeah,
doesn't matter kind of
and
thing.
So
yeah,
and so you're like, I mean, of course it's like, well, why would I do that? All it is fun gameplay. There's no reason to do it.
I mean, if when a game has post game story content, I really enjoy that.
That's cool,
like Kirby and the Forgotten Land did that, right?
Right. I mean, that was a whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's still like it's not like it's a huge story, but it's still got a story element to it, and I like that. But,
yeah, that was well done.
If it comes to post game content that's not that, you end up with things that are like challenge towers or replay the level but get all the collectibles, or like a lot of standard, like maybe a boss rush mode. And some of those things are things I might try but aren't necessarily things that I might be into. But if I had a lot of fun playing the game mechanically, I might play more of.
Yeah, like I was a little different. I was a little disappointed in with the Mario versus Rabbids. Speaking of that one, because the first Mario versus Rabbids there were like these kind of interesting challenge levels that were like they're almost more sort of puzzly than
you really had to be precise in what you were doing in order to make it work.
Yeah. And there wasn't really like in terms of end game stuff, there was like you can collect all these things for no reason if you want, I guess. But like there didn't seem to be any I think there might be like some like pay for DLC.
Yeah, they did a DLC where you do a storyline with the Donkey Kong Rabbit or something.
Okay.
I got it because it was cheap, but I haven't gone back to play it because I don't have time to play the things I buy.
Yeah. Anyway. So that's it for all the news that was interesting to talk about this week. Next week, we should be back with ChillPoint, although some folks might be busy with Zelda. But we should have some sort of ChillPoint next week.
That is the plan.
That's the plan, anyway.
Plans change, but that's the current plan.
But anyway, thanks for joining us, and we will talk to all y'all later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.